Hello, my name is Paul Jacobson. I'm tying with the Eumer tube flies, and today we're going to be demonstrating the Marabou Muddler, and we're going to be tying this one on a plastic tube. So we'll just remove the fly from the graduated pin here. So to start with, we're going to be using a two-part plastic tube. I have an amber colored tube here on my left and the black tube on the right. The black is a small, and the orange tube or amber colored tube is a large in the Eumer line. Now the first thing we need to do is burr the end over, and I simply do that by using a Bic lighter and just touch it to the flame, and then we're going to get a friction fit. So we're going to slide this in to the orange tube and we're going to pull tight, and if you can see that, we're going to go about halfway, and you can see the little barb there. It's created by burning it with the lighter. When you're burning the plastic, keep in mind that you must use the blue part of the flame. If you use the orange part of the flame, what's going to happen is you're going to get soot on there. So we push it up onto the graduated pin. You want it nice and tight. Don't be afraid to add some pressure. Now we're tying today with Unithread black 6/0, and I'm going to be tying that using it on a Norvise bobbin, which is a clutch bobbin. It'll retract itself. The first thing I want to do is I want to lock these two tubes together, and the best way to do that is to simply start just ahead of the barb, wind your way back, trim the excess. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work our way back to approximately this point on the tube. We're going to tie in our tail, and our tail in this one is going to be turkey. So I'm going to start winding back. Now this is going to be a tinsel body as well. So with a tinsel body, what you have to do is keep the thread wraps fairly consistent all the way back. If you start getting them big gaps or bunching them up or wrapping on top of themselves, what's going to happen is your tinsel body is going to be lumpy and bumpy instead of nice and smooth. So now I'm piecing a piece of mottled turkey tail, and I'm going to cut a slip out of that about 3/8 of an inch wide. Right, now to make this a real simple tie, I'm simply just going to fold it in half rather than trying to pair it up. Now I want it to go slightly upwards, so I'm going to go just slightly past the bend of the hook holder here and do a pinch technique. I'm going to come up and over with a loose wrap, come down and pull tight, and 5 wraps, and that should secure it. Now what you want to do is trim that very, very close and try and get it as close to the body as you can, because again, you're going to be wrapping over this with tinsel, so you want it to be very neat and tidy. Alright, bind the ends down, the butts down. Now I've got a rotary vise here, so I'm going to reverse the vise, because any tinsels I want to tie in on the bottom side of the tube, and I want to tie them full length of the body. What that will do is keep a nice even body all the way along. This one we're using the Lagruton gold oval tinsel, and this is a extra strong medium size. So I'm going to peel off probably about 6 to 8 inches of that. Trim that off. And we're going to start winding in on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is measure approximately where I'm going to start. Orient that fiber on the tinsel, get that up and out of the way. If you have a material holder, it's a great place to hook it up now. Now try and keep your wraps contiguous, as close together as possible. Remember, you want a smooth body all the way along. Manipulate it with your finger if you have to. I'm going to stop just about there because I want to leave myself a little bit of room at the head so I don't get everything bunched up there. Alright, now I'm going to invert my vise back to right side up, and I'm going to grab some flat mylar tinsel. This comes in I have it in a very large roll here, and it's two-sided. It's gold on one side, silver on the other side. So I'm going to peel off probably a good 10 inches, because what I'm going to do when I tie a tinsel body, and I want to cut it in a fairly steep angle here, So about like that. I'm going to catch it by the tip here. When I catch it by the tip, I'll take about 3 wraps and I'll fold that little tip back and lock it down in place. Now, because I tied the silver down, the gold will show on the up face, or the upside of the tinsel. So I'm going to start winding back. Don't overlap your tinsel at this point. You want it to just kiss the edge of each previous wrap. Work your way back, all the way back to the tail. You might have to crowd it a bit at the tail if your spacing doesn't work out. That's fine. Now I'm going to start working my way back, and you're going to see that we're just going to cover those wraps of thread. That worked out well. And we're going to work our way forward with the tinsel. Now what I'm doing here is again butting them up edge to edge. And what you see is any gaps, maybe slight gaps that I had at the beginning, are now going to be covered. Okay. Tie off, pull to the bottom. When you tie off materials, tie off on the bottom. If you're tying any type of wing pattern, you always want the material to be tied off on the bottom. If you tie it off on the top, you're going to get a big lump. Alright. One habit I see a lot of people doing, especially beginning tiers, is cutting their thread, and you can avoid this simply by using your finger to push the bobbin up and out of the way and buffer it, and then come in with your scissors from underneath. Trim it nice and short. Tie the tag end off. You've got a nice neat body. Now what I want to do is I want to go the opposite direction with my oval tinsel that I did from the flat gold tinsel, and the reason for that is I'm not going to bury it between the actual edges, and it's going to counter wrapping will actually enhance the durability of that fly. So I'm going to go up and over now. I'm coming the opposite way. You want about 4 or 5 wraps for proper spacing on ribbing. And if you pick it up just right, there we go. Get to tie off on the bottom side. Now 3 or 4 wraps will secure that. Again, buff your thread up out of the way, nice and close with the scissors. Tie the tag end down, and then we've got a nice shiny body, durable body that the fish are going to have an awfully hard time tearing apart. When the fly is done, what I'll do is put 1 strip of liquid brush-on super glue along the bottom, and that'll keep the ribbing in place. Alright, so we've got our gold body, we've got our tail, we've got our counter rub. Now I'm going to take and put a little bit of flash into this fly. Or actually, sorry, we're going to put the underwing in first, and that is squirrel tail. So I'm going to pinch off a nice bunch here of squirrel tail, what I think will look good on this fly. Alright. Cut that off. When you're cutting your materials, cut it as close to the base of the tail as you can. You'll help yourself out a lot in the next few flies you do. Pick out any aberrant fibers that just don't look right in the wing to you. Now's the time to do it rather than later. You can bat the butts of the hair to get out any of the underfur. Now squirrels are very coarse hair, very slippery hair, and it needs some special attention. So now what I want to do when I lay this wing down is I want this sub-wing to just touch the tip of the tail for length. So what I've done here is I've taken my length, gauged it, switch hands, and now I know I simply have to take and tie in right here where my fingers were. And that helps eliminate a lot of guesswork. So loose wrap to start, to capture the fibers, make sure they're oriented where you want them. Alright, you can cock the wing up a little bit if you like. Now as I said, squirrel hair is very hard. It's easily slipped. So what I like to do is I take Loctite brush-on super glue. I just remove the brush, and what I like to use is a dental pick. This is actually called a probe. I use it for checking the gums, but I just take a small drop. That's about all you need. If you can see that on there or not, I don't know, but it's not very large. Go right onto the top of the wraps and slightly ahead. Try not to go into the back side of the wing or behind your thread wraps, because what that's going to do is mat down and glue that wing in a fixed position, and you want that wing to be able to move with water current. Okay, now I'm going to take a few more wraps forward and really lock that squirrel hair down. Alright, now what I'm going to do is a trick I learned from Yuri Shimikov in the way he ties tube flies. And if you haven't already got one of these, I suggest you go out and buy one. It's just a regular scalpel. You can get them very inexpensively from any medical supply shops, and they do a really nice job at trimming off hair of this nature without leaving a great big bump or a step that you have to drop the thread down off of. I'm just going to grab my magnifiers here so I can get in tight. The danger here, of course, is cutting your thread. Don't worry about cutting the tube. You will not be able to, or you should not be able to cut through that. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to, just ahead of the thread wraps, simply walk my scalpel and rock it back and forth. A couple of times. You're going to see the hair come off here in just a second.